from the 21st of the second month of 1444, Eye of the Dragon. The holy stone is the material vehicle of the spiritual message. The apple branch is as a sword with a promise to never lose the battle of the journey. Emmer, the Anir Atin, still has beauty. A gentle voice, sweet words, wisdom, skill at needlework, and chastity at an age where moderns will stop calling her a girl. Hen of Tyne isn't a beginner anymore, so less pressure is needed to take on full responsibility. 9 of Ishki is a researcher. 6 of Da'ain has laid the way as a physical helper. 4 of Ishki finds something in the new cycle. 6 of Chin has attained a strength like the rest, but it is personal. 3 of Dowing, trained to be according to the celestial. Kernunas seems as Ave Ershor to those who have looked at blood and water in the view of another, but each shall be an acceptor of more than the sexual tone of nature. The old ones offer choices beyond the horned one, a manipulator of what is present are adversarial. And what are your initial thoughts about?
I picked up kind of like traveling back in time. A lot of things could be learned from things that's already happened, right? But I got a flash of like castles and homemaking, back to basics, like strip things down and work with just raw material. In
Just like the
spirituality.
Tibetan, I think one of the things here that we have is that both in the spelling and in the current pronunciation, you could see what some of the meaning will be contained in there. Like this kind of looks like it says Ir Sil Kernanas. And I don't know what it says on the pillars, because they say, well, look up the language reference on the pillars. I think the little book could have gone a little bit further and said that. Now, the devil card having what's obviously a Jesus figure on it, and the horned one thing that you see in that Indus River Valley inscription and some other inscriptions elsewhere in Europe and stuff. Having them together kind of makes enough sense there.
I just noticed the colors at each corner of that card that just kind of jumped out at me real quick there. Like, hello, notice this,
Well, yeah, that's the sort of edge that I think all the trumps do this thing.
green, white.
Nunos seems as Ave Shore to those who have looked at blood and water in the view of another. But each shall be an acceptor of more than the sexual tone of nature. The old ones offer choices beyond the horn one, a manipulator of what is present, are adversarial. And as much as people have, as much as Christianity has tried to push off the, it keeps on disappearing here for some reason here. As much as Christianity has tried to push off the adversarial, it's taken more of that role that, you know, that it has to drive out all the other groups. And, you know, the first two cards, so we got the Holy Stone is a material vehicle of the spiritual message.
I see like an astral body there, right there. It's hard to explain. It's like a.
Well, I think the thing they're doing there with the sixth thing is like giving the thing an aura, and like reminding people it's like the fairy elemental gift of whatever element. So this deck has extra cards. So it has
Awesome.
5 extra cards here. And the other extra card is we got this apple branch here. And the apple branch, what did we have here? No, because that story of the hold on. I'm having the apple branch is as a sword with a promise to never lose the battle of the journey. Because if you remember the story is that of they go and find that. And so the Anir, well, of Cheen, yeah, you would have never guessed it was Cheen from Tyne, right? So Emmer is given the 6 virtues of womanhood there in the poem. So she still has beauty, a gentle voice, sweet words, wisdom, skill at needlework, and chastity at an age where moderns will stop calling her a girl. Now, of course, by chastity, I don't mean what some people would mean, that you know, that she was obviously with Cuchulainn, and Cuchulainn, so being his bride didn't take from her virtue, because you know, again that Christian idea that, you know, Paul's like, you know, the best of you won't get married, you know, and if you are married, you got to avoid being together. You know, what other path tries to pull that one on you? But
right.
So yeah, you don't the people don't lose virtue. It's like you, like some of the Sufi stories talk about some woman who's been married like 8 times, and each one she's like a, you know, shy and proper lady or whatever they're trying to, whatever phrase they actually use or something. You know, I don't know. I don't remember what it says.
It seems like people long ago, you know, they would marry, you know, at different ages. Nowadays, you know, people are like waiting. I guess
well,
that's the right way to say
so
it.
much of it,
You know,
it's like
waiting
without going further
later
into that.
on.
Remember that video that I
Right.
pointed out, that I thought that it sounded like somebody was referring to me, but they were like, oh, but he's not Elon Musk. Oh, I'm not rich and famous like that. So yeah, you know, that wouldn't want to get with
Lifestyle.
that sort of mentality in the first place.
Right. Reminds me of it was kind of like a fun song, Lifestyles of the Not So Rich and Famous. It's like a song back in the 90s.
Oh, well, because they had that show, I guess. So I guess it would make sense that would be the thing. 10 of Chin isn't a beginner anymore, so less pressure is needed to take on full responsibility. So yeah, with practice, those difficult things can become automatic. Now, some people say, "Oh, you just needed to." It's like I learned all the chords on the guitar. I just had coordination problems and couldn't play things quick.
I never could learn the guitar.
And
Never.
just like we had blood and water on the last card in the poem, the 9 of Ishki is a researcher. So the cauldrons are the water. The cauldrons are the water thing. And so you have the Ida and Pengula and all that stuff. It's the same thing going on Celtic wise that you talk about in the East and that breath practice. Now these are Kisma Stepanich's experiences and ideas worked into the cards, but it is recognizable as a tarot deck if you don't have the thing. The 6 of Damhen, Daoin, has laid the way as a physical helper. And doesn't it kind of, it's success, but success through the right doors, because the doors are different. And so there's the implication that you got to go into one door.
Right.
Versus another. The 4 of Ishki finds something in the new cycle. And a lot of stuff with rainbows and people, you see these things online about people that they've, yeah, rainbows are kind of ruined as a thing. It used to be like, but you have to be into everything or whatever because it's, it's the rainbow. And it's like, no, that's not what was used. And now I don't believe that nonsense that, oh, before the Great Flood, there were no rainbows. And God only made it so there were rainbows. It's like, no, rainbows were around before this planet was around. So
it's odd when I think of rainbows, I always think of Skittles candies. It must be
yeah,
that
that they do that. They do that. Like how many people will misspell relief? Is it relief
Yeah.
is the word? And they spell Rolaids, especially kids.
Yeah.
6 of Chin has attained a strength like the rest, but it is personal. Particularly when you got the 6 cards are very balanced because they're like in the middle of the sequence. And you got that sacred fire there. So operating the sacred fire and the pillars around it. So that's part of the reason why I use patterns like in a circle or something, or just a circle with its points. And then I do stuff in the middle. It's the same sort of thing going on as this woman there. And the 3 of Daoin, trained to be according to the celestial. So just like the bats, you have a spiral thing going on, and it's what worked. So the different ones come together, and so that's that one.
Used to be a lot of older things are coming to mind. Remember the little it was like a little drawing toy. It was called a spirograph or something like that.
Yeah, they got the
like
pen, they got the pen, and the different little plastic things get it so you can do a different.
Yeah, you can make all kinds of little different designs. Spirograph. I want to check and see if they still sell those. Cool.
Okay, so I see the cards these little cards shuffle themselves. I don't know what's going on with that. So what cards did we have? The Hangman, that was one of them. I know that was one of them.
Yeah.
So You have that
lust
Odin myth. Let me,
and
yeah, that
is
Odin
that
myth, the guy's hanging upside down, and he's like informed.
mhm,
So the prophet goes into a state, gives himself over to finding the knowledge and all that, and then he,
mhm,
and certain postures and stuff. Like, I think people like Donald Trump and some of these other ones specifically picks postures to pose in because they know
yeah,
it's going to remind people. It's
mhm,
like, of course, if you're last
power
Trump,
depends.
you got to do something with the tarot and remind people of that, right?
Yeah, like
So this other card that for the
this
okay,
hangman,
adjustment
oh
less.
yeah,
Okay, so strength here. Strength, it's not as I pointed out in that program that I just released. It's not
mhm,
your abilities, it's what you've chosen to do with your abilities.
yeah,
And
absolutely.
the okay, the justice card. There's a justice card here somewhere.
Yeah.
Adjustment, the Thoth Tarot calls it. Now it does help. It does help because the Thoth Tarot is, that mythology. So
Um,
since it's about that, it's important that, all that connects.
I like these shades of blue and green.
Yeah, it becomes sort of a what's the word? It becomes a card that for the
Things are coming together in this card. I see things kind of coming together at the foot, and maybe it goes from the foot all the way up to the top. Start at the bottom and slowly go up. One thing at a time, maybe.
and I don't think that the justice is blind idea is really what we're looking at with that card. But
Mhm.
it's not a respecter of persons like, oh well, I can't be just because this I can't make the right judgment because this person's famous or powerful or something. Um, and to iterate, we have this card. So I guess this comes to the end of uh, the end of the trumps because we've gone over the trumps. So we know we've done that part of these secondary ones. Now, any particular you wanted to say about any of the cards or something for me?
Well, it's like this list card. I mean,
Do you remember who the 10 figures are other than like as a way of thinking about the bodily
well, it's kind of like when I see this card, and this sounds crazy, but it's like a kind of reminds me of like like a little pimple or a zit on the on the skin. It has to kind of bubble up and come to the surface, before it heals. So I just that just
that's a bit
crossed through my wonder of mindly madnesses. I can't.
well you look at isn't there snakes on the card and all that?
Yeah,
So
there's
but it's a bodily thing.
yeah.
The Crowley deck kind of hides in a bit more of the sexual imagery than people are used to with the card.
Mhm.
At least there's some humor, right? On the devil card, the
Yeah.
one guy moons you. But let me
Yeah.
stop.